I'm Ginger Harris with the Get Together. I see a lot of familiar faces, and I'm glad that you're here. We are sponsoring this workshop this morning, but we are turning it over to one of our business partners, Gabrielle Baumeier with Reason to Race. And so I'm going to introduce her and let her take over. Our key indicator for the Get Together is efficiency. So we want this workshop to be as efficient as possible. So we are going to minimize the introduction words and let you get right into this workshop and learn from her. So I want to introduce her. She is the president and co-founder of Reason to Race. And Reason to Race consults and trains leaders in the nonprofit and for-profit sectors to maximize community outreach efforts, to use their time, talents, and treasures to elevate their performance and those around them. She's worked with companies, nonprofits, and individuals to impact considerable social change. And that equates to they have helped raise over $6.5 million for approximately 400 local and national nonprofits. And in addition to that, she is one of our favorite workshop leaders, and you will know why, because at 11 o'clock this morning, your mind will be blown with all the tips and tricks that you will learn in the next few minutes. She is by far one of the easiest people to learn from, and you, no matter how smart you are or how not so smart you feel, you will walk away with something at the end of this, and this will be just the greatest time. And so I'm turning it over to her, and have your pencils ready and your laptops open, and you're just going to have a fantastic time. So Gabrielle, teach us all that we need to know about Outlook and help us de-stress our life with this tool that we've been given.
Thanks so much for that introduction. And I'm happy to be here and happy to see all of your faces. So let's get into it. So let's do the setup here on how to participate. So the best way to participate in my workshops are, if you can keep your background noise to a minimum, that'd be great. I am an interactive kind of presenter here, so I will ask you questions. So if you can be off mute and answer my questions, that'd be great. And you can also put your questions in the chat box. So I'm sure you all have been on Zoom many times. You know, there's a chat box there, and I'll have Wendy helping facilitate that I get those questions answered. So please engage. This workshop is for you. And like Ginger said, be ready to take notes. So I'm going to throw out lots of tips and tricks, and you do want to capture them. And in case you miss any of them, we are recording this for you. So you will have it as a reference point after we finish today. So to start off, I want to ask you a question. So this is a point where you can take yourself off mute and answer it. We're going to engage in a little bit of a question, and the question's right here up on the screen. And that is, tell me, how do you use your calendar? Might sound like a funny question, but how do you use your calendar? Just kind of, if you want to just raise your digital hand and I'll call on you, that's fine. But how do you use your calendar right now? Somebody tell me.
John Warner, I use it for reminding me what's coming up today.
Okay, so reminding you what's coming up today. What else? How do you use your calendar?
I like John, I use it for organizing my day to make sure I don't forget anyone, because I may or may not have done that. Okay. And for Zoom meetings, as well as looking at what programs did I work at when.
Okay, what programs you worked at when. Okay, great. How else do you use your calendar? Do you just use it for work? Do you use it for personal stuff too? What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you say? Chime in.
Absolutely. Personal too. If you don't use it for personal, you'll forget somebody or something.
Yeah, really good. Okay, one more person. What's your relationship to your calendar? Do you like your calendar? Or are you one of those people who resists your calendar? Who are my resistors?
Couldn't do without it.
Who are my resistors? Raise your hand. Yeah, okay, Angie, thanks for being brave.
I'm a little intimidated by it.
Intimidated, yeah, that's another good word for it. Okay, well, be open to breaking that up here today within the next 45 minutes or so. And then also, I want you to think about your calendar from this perspective as well. So you know how you have to remember a lot of things all the time, right? We have to remember stuff. Well, remembering is probably the worst reliability in getting anything done. I don't use my memory for much. I use my calendar so I don't have to remember anything. Anything that I need to get done or I want to get done, or more important, that I told somebody I would do, it goes into my calendar so I don't have to remember anything. Now, some of you have worked with me, and at one point or another, you might have said, man, Gabrielle's just so organized. She remembers everything. She's such a great follow-up kind of person. No, I just put everything in my calendar so I don't have anything fall through the cracks. And that's what my intention is that you learn here today. Okay, is there anything in the chat here? Scheduling, subscription, due dates, and bills. Great, Katie. If it's on my calendar, I forget about it, Wendy. Perfect. Okay, so in terms of our agenda today, we're going to talk about calendar views. So what's the best way to lay out your calendar so that it works for you? There's different views, daily views, monthly views. I'll share with you mine. Recurring meetings. Anything that you need to do over and over and over again. And I mean from grocery shopping to recurring meetings with your staff, anything and everything, I suggest putting it into your calendar as a recurring meeting, and I'll show you a quick way to do that. There's a feature in Outlook called Quick Steps, and it's your ability to set up meetings literally with one click and to have content of the meeting already preloaded for you so you don't have to do it over and over and over again. It's a really easy way to get meetings into your calendar. And then default reminders. You know, John, you mentioned it, having reminders in your calendar acts as your reminder so you don't forget to do things. Well, there are default reminders that you can set in your calendar as well that not only help you to get things done, but help other people get things done as well. And then there's time zones. So by a show of hands real quickly, who here works with people in different time zones? Who does that? Yeah, a couple people? No? And then for whom does the math always mess you up? Is Pacific, you add 2 hours or you delete 2 hours? You know, there's that whole thing. Okay, so I'm going to show you a quick tip on how to facilitate the time zone adding and subtracting so it doesn't flip you out. And then there's color coding and formatting. I'm a big color coding kind of person. I'm very visual. So I'll show you some quick tips on how to best represent where you're using your time in your calendar according to what the categories are. So where are you doing personal stuff? Where are you doing business stuff? Where are you doing any other kinds of categories of things? And then we'll end here with some advanced tools and tips. I got a couple of those in line for you as well. Okay, let's start out with calendar views. So first off, there are different ways that you can view your calendar. You can view it by day, by the work week, by the full week, by the month, and I've never used schedule view, so don't ask me what that is. Now, what I do is I like to look at my work week, but I include Sunday and Saturday. Have you ever noticed how your week just kind of all falls into one? There's almost like no distinction between the weekends and the workday, especially during coronavirus. Well, I have set my calendar up to look at it on a weekly view, including Saturdays and Sundays. And I also have designated my first day of the week as Monday, just because I like to start the week on Monday. My husband says the official first week of the first day of the week is on Sunday, but I argue with him, it's on Monday. So let me show you where that is on Outlook so you can see how I have that set up. So here's my calendar, and you'll see I have different color coding. I have, of course, the day of the week starts on Monday here. So every time I sit down on my calendar, I always know the first day is Monday, and I always have Saturday and Sunday over here as well. So I have set my whole week up so I can see my full 7 days. And the way you set that up is over here on the top left-hand side of the screen. You'll see there are buttons that say day, work week, all the way to month. And then there's this little bitty arrow that reads calendar options. When you click calendar options, it takes you straight to the Outlook options under calendar, where you can set what your start and end time is for the day. You can either add Sunday, add Saturday, or take it away and put the first day of the week on Monday. So tell me in the chat here, What day of the week do you start? What day do you start your week? Tell me in the chat. Is it Monday or is it Sunday or is it Saturday?
Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have your calendar set up so that it looks like, do you use the weekly view like I do? Yeah, Katie and John Butler are Sunday. All right, great. Yeah, no, I love, thank you, Wendy. You love that. Yeah, so there's something about being able to look at the whole week. So when you're on the phone and you need to schedule something with somebody, you just have it all there available for you. And there's no guesswork in what your availability is. And then if you're like me, as things don't get done day to day, sometimes they end up in the weekend, but then sometimes I have the weekend blocked off so they don't end up in the weekend, they end up in the next day or in the next week. Okay, Dorian likes the traditional Sunday through Saturday. Okay, any other comments or questions? Do you ever use the month view? Does anybody ever do that? Monthly, Allison? Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. For 20 years, I've used the week, but month view is, she likes the month view as default. Yeah. Okay, great. Let's talk about recurring meetings. So now there's actually getting meetings into your calendar. And I think you all know what recurring meetings are. They're things that happen either every week or every day that just happen like clockwork. And when I put recurring meetings in, most likely I set them as no end date at all because they're just going to keep going until I turn them off. So tell me, what do you schedule as recurring meetings in your calendar? Share with me a little bit about that. What do? You can put it in the chat or you can chime out too. It's fine.
It's not meetings, but I do birthdays.
Birthdays? Okay. Yeah, definitely yearly. Board meetings, Beverly Allen, for sure. Group classes, Allison. Yep. Team meetings, one-on-ones with your boss. You don't want to miss those. That's a good idea. Yep, for sure. Vacations, Kathy Moore, thank you. Team meetings, okay, perfect. So I invite you to consider that you want to put anything and everything that you do on a recurring basis in your calendar. And I'm talking anywhere through breakfast, lunch, workouts, shopping, time off, all of it. Now, why do you think I'm suggesting that you do that? You can either chime it out or put it in the chat. Why am I suggesting that?
So you won't double book.
Very good. So you won't double book. Yep. And Dorian, yes, on the same calendar, if you can hack it. You know, some of you have a work calendar and you just don't want stuff on there. I get it. That I have my own business, so I can kind of put everything in one place. But if you can hack it, I'd say put it all. And then Maricela, to see free time slots for sure on the same calendar. Okay, great. What's another reason I'm suggesting just put it all on there as feasible for you? G, and expectations for time availability, work-life balance. Yep. It's easy to forget to eat when you're busy. Thank you, Erin. Erin Taylor. You have to eat. How many times have you made it through the day and you go, I haven't even eaten since breakfast, or I didn't even eat breakfast and now it's 3 o'clock and I don't know why I have a headache. You are the kind of people, I know you are, even though I don't know every single one of you, you're the kind of people who are committed, you are on a mission, and you will most likely let things fall through the cracks that are personal to you. Most likely, not everybody, but we do things like we don't get enough sleep, we don't do our morning stretches, and we don't eat right. And then we wonder why we're burned out. So we got to take care of us before we can take care of others. Easier said than done. I'm very clear about that. But that's the reason why I suggest to you putting stuff into your calendar, even the personal things. So let me show you what mine is. You probably caught it earlier. So notice I get up in the morning. This is my calendar here. This is for the week of March 15th. But in the morning, I do my stretches. Literally put it in my calendar to do them because I will, quote, forget, or something else will get in the way. I have my breakfast time in there. I have my lunch time in there. I have times that I go for a walk. There's something for me about making sure it's on the calendar because there is a specific time that I need to do those things. And if I don't have them in my calendar, I will just pile on and pile on and pile on and pile on. Yeah, Janice, medicine, your doctor's appointments, for sure. And then G, we can't blame others if we don't designate our me times, for sure. Everybody needs to write that one down, for sure. Okay, so let me show you how easy it is to set up that recurring meeting. So I'm on my Outlook calendar here, Thursday the 18th. I can just go highlight, say, actually, let me do it at night. So 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. every Thursday. This is not true, but let's just say it is. Every Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m., I clean my house. Let's just say, I really do need to clean my house every week, okay? So it's a good idea to have a recurring calendar. I highlight the hour, I right click, and then I say new recurring appointment. Takes me straight to the screen where I've set up the appointment recurrence. It's already set to 7 to 8. It's already on a weekly basis. It's already on Thursday. If I needed to clean my house on Thursday and Tuesday, I could designate that here. And then what I mentioned before is just put no end date. You know, chances are you're never going to stop cleaning your house. So you might as well just put that thing in there for eternity. Say here, say clean house. And then the location is house. Save. Now you have your recurring item in there. Super, super simple. Questions or comments about recurring items? And did you know that you could right click and do a recurring item that quickly? It's really fast. It's really, really fast. Okay, great. Any questions, comments? Okay, perfect. Medicine. How do you add colors? I'm so glad you're asking, Janice. So glad. We're getting there. Okay, now I want to talk to you about quick steps. So again, the part of doing this workshop here is to have you get that the more you can take out of your brain and put into your calendar, the less stress you will have in life. My goal is never have to remember anything. I always put it someplace so it's out there in reality and I can reference it. So the thing about quick steps is that it's a way for you to do things like set up quick Zoom meetings. And why you do quick steps is you can literally set up a meeting in one click, consistency with meeting setup, and you can have your meetings have custom text. Now, some of you might be saying, well, on my Outlook, I have Zoom as an integrated button. Is anybody thinking that? Right, it already has, like, there's an integration button on there. Well, you can definitely use the Zoom integration button, but I set up a quick step to set up Zoom meetings because of that third bullet. I want my meetings to have custom text in them, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so over here in my calendar, let me actually go to my inbox here. So here in my email, I have quick steps are up here at the top. And so these are ways to quickly do something. So you can quickly set up a meeting or quickly set up an email. When I click Zoom meeting, and I'm going to show you how to set up a quick step in just a second. When I say Zoom meeting, it gives me a meeting request that already has pre-populated information in it. I pre-populated that in there. And it even has a preset subject. So if I say Reason, Race, and Bill meeting, then I can put Bill's email address in here. And then I'm letting Bill know, here are the preparation items we need for our meeting, Bill. And this is pretty much for any meeting I have. Hey, don't forget to take notes. Don't forget to have these links handy and referenced for you. So then I can put whatever we're going to do here as the agenda. And then maybe I have another standard agenda item in there. And then I just set the date and time, and then I hit send. Again, simply by hitting a quick step up here. And the way.
Okay, so question.
Yep.
All right, so I'm looking at my calendar, right? And I'm not seeing, and I'm probably obtuse, but where is the quick step located?
Yeah, it's over on your, go to your inbox.
Okay.
Go to your inbox, and it's up on top.
Okay.
See it?
No, it's not. Oh, there it is. Thank you.
It's a snake, it would bite you. It's one of those things.
Well, actually, mine didn't look like yours. Mine has a big lightning down.
Yeah. So create new, because you probably don't have any quick steps in there, right?
It would appear so. That is correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, you're welcome. And tell me in the chat if you've ever used Quick Steps before, because I am kind of curious to know if anybody's used those. I've done them on one of my webinars before. Yeah, no, Maricela. Yeah, I'm telling you, you get these quick steps into your way of thinking and operating, you will love them. And they are super, super simple. Like Kathy pointed out for us, there's a create new button. You literally hit create new, and then you choose the action of what you're making. So you say, this quick step that I'm about to make is going to be a new meeting, or this quick step that I'm about to make is going to be a new message. So you're essentially templatizing the creation of a meeting, or you're templatizing the creation of a new email to people. And you simply go through here, show the details here, show options, and then you fill out whatever it is that's applicable. And this is how you create a quick step. You just try it. Just go hit create new, follow through, look at the fields, set it up, see if it works, and then it doesn't, and then you go back in and you try it out again, because that's how Gabrielle does it. I don't know all of this stuff from Adam. I just try it out, and if it makes my life easier, I use it. So I definitely recommend doing that. Okay, questions or comments? Linda, yes, they are very customizable. There literally is no excuse for you any further to redo something that you do over and over and over again. By a show of hands, do you have a job in which you have to do some things over and over and over again? And they irritate you over and over and over again, and you wish that you didn't have to do them over and over and over again? Yeah, yes. So this is a way to eliminate that, because you do not need to spend any energy on anything other than what you're doing with your important work. All right. So Katie says, no, this is new to me. I can't believe I've never seen it. I know if it's a snake, it would bite you kind of thing. I use my drafts to save new templates. That works too. Katie, that works too, is using your draft folder to templatize things. You get the process though. Never used them before. Sally, not yet, will now. Okay, excellent. Use it for emails and love them for that, Taylor. Okay, excellent. Okay, any other questions? You can either chime out or put it in the chat about quick steps. Okay, excellent. Okay, next one is default reminders. Okay, so how many of you can either put it in the chat or again, chime it out. How many of you, when you set up a meeting, it has a default of 15 minutes as the reminder? Yeah. Have you ever said to yourself, man, I wish that reminder was set up for more than 15 minutes, because by the time you get the 15-minute reminder, it's kind of like it's too late. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's kind of too late, because what happens in 15 minutes? You can barely wrap up the meeting that you're in. So I figured out a long time ago that if I set my default reminders, not only for me, but for other people, and it's actually especially for other people, and I remind them that they're going to have a meeting with me in 30 minutes, I have increased the probability of their attending my meeting. I don't just give them 15 minutes because they're already running behind from their last meeting. I give them 30-minute reminder if they get a meeting request from me. So in calendar options in Outlook, and by the way, this works in Google too. So everything I'm talking about, these processes and this way of thinking, it all applies to even if you use a Google Calendar, but I know you signed up for Outlook, so that's probably what you use, but I know Ginger uses Google. Same thing, same kind of concept. In the calendar options, you can set your default reminder to be 30 minutes. You can set it to be 45 minutes. It's fine. But I, for one, have learned that a 15-minute reminder or a 10-minute reminder is essentially useless to people, especially in this day and age.
Sorry, I missed where calendar options are.
I'm about to show it.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I love it when you all do that. I love it. When you ask me what I'm about to talk about, that is like, Gabrielle, you got the agenda on target. So that's good. I'm glad you chimed in. Okay, so let's go over here to my calendar. I'm going to go back over. up here, calendar options. So one way you can get to calendar options is you can go file, options, and all that jazz. I'm really big into shortcuts. So there's a little icon here. I used it earlier. It's a little arrow that gets you to your calendar options. So now here it is. We were working up here earlier. I showed you work time. You're kind of notice some consistency here. I keep going to calendar options because that's what we're talking about here. But here you have the default reminder as whatever you want. 5 minutes, really useless. 10 minutes, useless. 15 minutes, useless. 30 minutes, I found that's golden. You put it right there. Does everybody see the calendar options? Or if you don't see it, let me know. And then I'm looking at the chat too. What if you usually use the web version? Amanda, I don't use the web version, but I'm willing to bet that these options are in there. But I haven't looked. Lindsay, you said yes. I don't know what question I asked, but you said yes to it. Okay. Do you see, it might have been, do you see the calendar options or any questions about these calendar options? Okay, great. Yes, it was referenced to seeing it. Okay, great, Lindsay. Okay, cool. Now you might be, this is just a completely random thing, but I looked it up because when I saw this screen, I figured somebody would probably ask me about it. There's an option here that reads end appointments and meetings early. If it's less than a 1 hour appointment, you end it at 5 minutes till. So if I'm going to set up a meeting with Kathy Moore and it's only a 30-minute meeting from 1 to 1:30, when I set up the meeting with Kathy from 1 to 1:30, the meeting is automatically created for 1 to 1:25 so that we end early. Now, if anybody pays attention to that, that's beyond me. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, but that's what those options are there, just in case you were wondering about them. I Googled it. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, great. Tell me, does that sound useful to you? Setting your reminders 30 minutes early. Does that sound useful? I'm looking in the chat. Absolutely. Okay, great. Thank you, Lindsay and Maricela. Okay, excellent. Okay, now we're getting to the color coding and conditional formatting, probably one of my more favorite topics here. So for color coding, here is a screenshot, and you already saw my calendar before, so this is not any news here. So you get to choose what colors you use for what kind of things that you do. For me, my personal stuff is in purple. If I'm doing meetings, they're in green. General stuff is light blue. If I'm doing tech stuff, it's yellow. You get to pick your colors and you get to have at it because there's 30 different colors that you can possibly choose from. So the thing about conditional formatting is that color coding and conditional formatting is that it gives you a way to see where you're spending your time. Because you can tell me in the chat, do you have to juggle your time between different, like there's programs, there's staff development, there's personal time, there's just all these kinds of things that you have to do. So give me some categories of your life that you would have color coded in your calendar. Just throw a couple of there in the chat. Like I said, my purple stuff is personal. And you notice that I have travel in my calendar as well. Now, obviously I did more traveling pre-COVID, but I realized that if I don't put travel in my calendar and make it a different color, I will schedule something on top of it, and then I will be late to that meeting. Anybody ever experienced that? You have to be on the road and you're still doing stuff at work. This will help you eliminate that. So in my calendar, travel is always blue. Now, I use a conditional formatting option. So every time I type in the word travel on my calendar, travel turns up as blue. Watch this. Okay, so let's say I'm going to have a meeting with Sue Marshall. Okay, let's just say Sue Marshall. And I'm going to meet with her at 3 to 4 p.m. on the 18th. I highlight, I'm going to meet with her for an hour. So I put in Sue meeting. When I click out, notice it turned pink, because anytime I put the word pink, put the word meeting in there, it turns pink. But the point here is when I put travel, and it's usually, half an hour to travel to and from places. I put in the word travel or I put in the word meeting and the appropriate color coding displays. Has anybody ever used that? Let me know in the chat. No, Karen. Had no idea. Lindsay, yeah, I know. It's like miraculous, this thing. Yep. So Linda, do you mean travel time to an appointment? Uh-huh. Yeah, whether it's travel time to the doctor or travel time to pick up your kids or travel time to go meet with somebody, do with work, putting travel time in your calendar, because your calendar is really the only reliable way to represent your time. You can't really manage time. Manage time is kind of a concept, but you can manage what you said you would do by putting it in your calendar. I'm going to travel to my doctor. Okay, you put that in your calendar at a specific time. Now, who's there questioning or who's asking, well, how do you set up conditional formatting? How do you do that, Gabrielle? Of course you're asking that question. Okay, so to set up conditional formatting with the calendar, with the colors, you right click on the calendar and you hit view settings. And then there's an option here that reads conditional formatting. So I want to give you time to get there. So right click and then hit conditional formatting. A couple of people just tell me on the chat. Did you find it? Conditional formatting? Okay, great. Maricela. One more person. You found it? Found it. Okay, great. All right. When you hit conditional formatting, then you can create these rules and list them here. So I have a rule called travel. I have a rule called meeting. So under my rule called travel, and you simply create the rule by hitting the add button, I say my rule called travel is going to make my travel occasion, my travel calendar item, blue. Then I set the condition that tells the calendar when to turn it blue. I'm saying if if travel is in there, I want it to be blue, but I have to tell the system the condition under which it should turn the thing blue. So I hit condition. And so now if the word travel is in the subject field of that item, if the word travel is in the subject field, that's the condition that tells Outlook to automatically turn it blue. And I have the same thing for the meeting. I have a condition for this purple thing called meeting. And the condition is if the subject has the word meeting, turn the item pink. Did it work? Did you check it out? Can you show how to get to the condition setting window? Yep. Just right click anywhere on the calendar, Katie, right click anywhere. And then you hit view settings. And then while she's doing that, while I'm showing that, give me a little feedback. Did you find it? Do you find that useful? Has anybody ever used that before? I mean, it works. It eliminates lots of stress in my life. Let me just say that. Found it, never used it, but will now. Okay, great. Yeah, it's great. And again, having the color coding, now you can always, put an item in your calendar and then right click and make it yellow. They don't have to automatically turn colors, but as you start to see, oh, wow, I always do that thing and it's always 30 minutes and it always has the same subject. Oh, I can put a color on there. And then after time, you can see where you're spending your time in your calendar. If you have a lot of purple stuff, in my regard, then I'm doing a lot of personal stuff. If I have a lot of orange stuff, I'm doing a lot of business development. If I'm doing a lot of yellow stuff, I'm doing a lot of technology. And then we talk about that whole work-life balance. If you have kind of a rainbow of colors, then you are, quote, in work-life balance, whatever that definition is for you. Kathy Moore, amazing. I agree completely. I totally agree. All right, next item. Or any other questions on conditional formatting, color coding, anything like that? Okay. Great. All right, time zones. So who were my people who work with different time zones? Give me a little show of hands again. Wendy, okay. All right, so time zones are, I do stuff where I work with people in different time zones, like all the way in Australia, okay? I have people with whom I communicate that are just kind of all over the world. But there's always, a lot of people with whom I work are on the Pacific coast. They just are, they're over there. So on my calendar, what I've done is I have put in a second column here that reads Pacific time. So now instead of, I'm on the phone call with Sally and I say, oh yeah, can you meet at 10 o'clock on Thursday? Wow. And she's on Pacific time. Well, instead of saying 10 o'clock and now having the possibility that she's going to get the time wrong, I say, because I know she's on Pacific time, I say, can you meet at 8 o'clock? Can we talk at 8 a.m.? I just talk in her time zone because it's right there on my calendar. And I work with people, a lot of people who are in this Pacific time zone. Okay, Katie has a mind blown emoji. I love it. I love mind blown emojis. That's great. All right, so now you're wondering how to do it. So let's go talk about that. It's going to be easier than you think. Here's my calendar. You probably didn't notice that I had the Pacific time and Houston time over here. And the easy way to change it is you simply right click and you change time zones. And now notice we're back to the calendar options. I keep flipping back and forth, but I'm showing you bits and pieces at a time that are applicable for our topics. So now you have time zones. I have Houston, Central, and then I have Pacific, which is of course Pacific time here. I could even have a third time zone if I wanted it. Who has used time zones already? Anybody on the call? Did you know that was there? Give me some feedback. It's a small thing, isn't it? It can make such a big difference.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can you tell me again, what did you click to go to time zone?
Sure.
Can you show me
So,
that?
yeah, definitely. Thanks for chiming in. So on my calendar, here's my calendar. You can look at yours. On the left-hand side where it reads all the times, you simply right click, change time zone.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. So there was something else I wanted to show you since I'm still on my calendar here. You'll notice that, again, I have all these color codings and whatnot. I decided a long time ago, if I promise, Maricela, wow, that if I promise somebody I'm going to do something, I'm not going to put it on a to-do list to fulfill that promise to them. You know how, oh, Ginger, yeah, I'll do that. Oh, Peggy, yeah, I'll do that. Bill, I'll do that. I do not put those things on just a simple to-do list. I actually tell them, Ginger, I will do that Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. Peggy, I will do that Wednesday at 5 o'clock. When I tell somebody that I'm going to do something and I'm going to do it at a specific time, guess where that promise ends up? Guess. In my calendar, of course. So you'll notice here, I have these brown are my promises, okay? So when if I promise Juan that I'm going to do something at 1:30 on Tuesday, I put it in here. If I promise call Paul with HAP at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, I do that. And sometimes I tell people, hey, I'll promise to call you in 6 months on the 16th of March or whatever the date is. If I say I promise to call you or contact you in 6 months, I go in my calendar 6 months from now and I say, promise, call Ginger. It doesn't go on a to-do list, because what happens with our to-do lists? Be honest with me. Be proud. Put it in the chat. What happens when we put stuff on the to-do list?
You forget to do it.
It gets longer and longer.
They just stay on the to-do list, don't they? They just stay on the to-do list. And then 6 months comes and I didn't call Ginger like I said I would. And then all of a sudden Ginger's like, okay, what's up with that Gabrielle chick over there? How dare she, right? So the more you can put things that you say you're going to do, especially to other people, but to yourself too. If you say you're going to do it, put it on your calendar in a specific time frame on your calendar, because then you're being really realistic if you're going to take the time to do it or not. Okay, so the gentleman who asked about the time zone, you good? Was that John?
It was Glenn. Yes, it's good. I'm good. Thank
We had 2 Johns and a Glenn, so it's like I have 33% chance of getting it right here. Okay, so advanced tools and tips. So you're really this one's gonna make sense to you right here, just given how I've been talking about the love of my life, which is my calendar. And that is, if you can hack it. Wow. If you can do it. Was that John Butler who said, wow?
No, it was me.
Okay, hi me. Okay, if you can hack it, have multiple monitors and don't just work with one monitor. I've worked with 3 monitors for at least 4 or 5 years. I'm completely addicted. I love them. But here's why I suggest that you work with multiple monitors. And if you can hack 3 of them, go for it. And here's why. Because I leave my calendar on one monitor all the time. So every day, all the time, I'm looking at that calendar. I must look at it 100 times a day. Doesn't seem like a lot because my calendar is telling me what to do. It tells me that thing that I promised to do for Ginger 6 months ago. My calendar is literally my communication tool back to me. I put information from my brain into my calendar, and then my calendar talks back to me, and I leave it on the left side of my left monitor all the time. Now, you might be thinking, Gabrielle, do you ever not do something in your calendar? Sure. I move it, and sometimes I get behind. But the rigor and the discipline of using my calendar to tell me what to do. I'm telling my calendar what I want in it, and then my calendar tells me what to do. If you practice that rigor, it will de-stress your life like you never thought possible. Now, I'm going to show you how I'm able to take my calendar and put it over on one monitor. Because you see here, my layout here is I have my calendar on one side, I have my email in the middle, and then I have my OneNote or my CRM system or donor system, whatever it is, the other thing that I'm using. But it's kind of always those 3 ways that I use my monitors. So then you might be saying, well, how do you get your calendar over there, but your email's in the middle? This is how you do it. Over here on my Outlook, there's down here at the bottom, and it might be in a different place if you're on the web or whatnot, but down here at the bottom, it has calendar, contacts, the notepad. When you right click on calendar, it allows you to open the calendar in a new window. So now you can put this window wherever you want. So again, right click, open in new window. And now I have this floating window that I can just put wherever I want, and I put it on my left monitor. Has anybody ever done that, used that? Is that Wendy? I never knew that. I know. Do you see why I suggest if you can hack it, have at least 2 monitors and put your calendar on one of them? Because in the long run, creating a relationship with your calendar such that it is your brain sounds weird, doesn't it? If you can treat your calendar like it's your brain, like you literally give it stuff from your brain and then you let it feed back to you when you're supposed to do something, then you're not having to remember anything except to use your calendar. You don't have to remember anything except to use and look at, those kind of go hand in hand, your calendar. What do you think about that? Wendy is like, wow. What else? Who else has something? Did you know that you could set your, that you could actually take a new window and put it wherever you want? Love it, Beverly Allen. Yeah, Outlook calendar is great. And if you're using Google Calendar, it's the same kind of concepts, you guys. It's the same. All these tools are basically the same. Any calendar system, they're basically the same. It's just using them from the place of having it work for you. If you use it to have it work for you, you will figure out all of these things like I have over time. I like to be efficient, so I've kind of figured these things out little by little, and I've just kind of used them a long time. Okay, scheduling applications. So calendar discussion would not be complete if I did not talk to you about my scheduling application. Because when I have people who want to talk to me, and it's frequent that I have people who want to talk to me, I have I've made the jump and I got a scheduling application, so I can now send them a link. I use Bookify. Some people use Calendly. Does anybody on the call use one of these scheduling apps like a Calendly so people can schedule time with you? Anybody use them? No? Okay, mine's Bookify. It's the same kind of concept where I can send people a personal web link and then they can set up a time to talk with me, whether it's a quick call for 15 minutes or down to strategy calls that are 45 minutes. I had a real resistance to using this, I must admit, because the exact first question that's there for me or the concern is, oh my gosh, now I don't own my schedule. People are putting themselves on my schedule. Well, if you try it out, and I say try it out for a couple of weeks, you will be sold on having people be able to just see your availability and then put a meeting on your calendar. So you don't have to do the, John Butler, do you want to talk on Friday? I'm available between this time and this time. And then if that time doesn't work, maybe I can do, John Butler, I can meet with you on Monday. And then we just go back and forth. And it's just like this hoo-ha and all these shenanigans to just try and get one meeting set. So with a web scheduling app, people can simply just click a button and then that item ends up in my calendar. And it's only going to schedule time that I say I'm available. It's not going to put things on Saturday and Sunday or in the evening times if I'm not designating myself as available those times. Question. Somebody said question.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you connect it to your Outlook, the Bookify?
Yeah, it's a setting in Bookify. They have an integration. Literally, click a button, and then Bookify just looks at what your availability is on Outlook, lets people book. And then you can even set up a buffer. So if they set up a 30-minute meeting, and you can have a buffer of 15 minutes. Yeah.
Is this a free app or is there a fee to this one?
This scheduling app, Bookify,
yeah.
It's $84 a year.
Okay.
The best $84 I've ever spent in my entire life.
Yes, ma'am.
And I am not a spender. I don't buy stuff. I don't go shopping. I'm not really big into that. $84, no problem. Within the first 3 or 4 days of having it, I had people like book 6 or 7 meetings with me. And I go, what the heck? Why was I waiting to do this? This was crazy. So John Butler says, sorry, he's not available on Friday. Well, I am not either. If you look at my Bookify, I'm just kidding. Okay. Much cheaper than Calendly. Yeah, I think it is $84. At least it was when I did it. So Sally Reed says, you can do Outlook scheduling assistant in the same way. Yeah, if other people use Outlook though, right, Sally? If other people in your office use Outlook, then they can see your availability. But I talk to people who are not on my internal system, so it really works out. But yeah, Outlook scheduling, definitely. Okay, so that's another kind of advanced tip or trick there, Bookify. Okay, so now we're coming up on, we have about 7 minutes left. I want to know from you, just spend a minute or two just telling me, what are you taking away? What are you saying? Wow, I didn't know I could do that. And wow, I'm really going to try that. And that one blew my mind. And how did I not know that one was there? What are you going to take away and use? And it could be that you use one thing. Okay, well, Maricela says everything. But I'd be fine if you just use one thing from the class. Because it's one thing to sit through it, but it's another thing to actually take the things and use them. And sometimes you have to do them one at a time. What are you going to take away? Colors and conditional formatting for the meetings? Yeah, for sure, Sally. Excellent. A couple more people. What are you going to take away? Colors and recurring events. Yeah, super simple. Super simple. I'm taking away Bookify. When I show the boss, she'll think I'm the greatest. Dorian, you can totally take credit for that one. You don't have to say anything about me or Ginger. We're all good. Okay. So if you are interested in finding out more of these workshops and webinars that I do, you can take a picture of the link here, and I'll also put it in the chat. And that is, I have a consulting page. So it talks about everything I do in terms of meeting facilitations and whatnot. So I do things in person. I definitely do these online workshops. I love doing them. They're just so easy to do with folks like you. And I encourage you to schedule a 15-minute talk with me so we can talk about if you have any needs in your company or any other needs in terms of training and development, and we can talk about what we can do to support you and your team moving forward. And in the chat, I just put all my contact information, including my Bookify link. Of course, I was going to do that, right? Okay, and then our next workshops, little teaser here for you. Ginger and I, we put together these 3 for you. So the second one is on Google Forms. So you know how you have to get data from people. You ask them their name and their email address, and then you want to take that information and slice and dice it. And you have maybe questionnaires that you want to ask people. You have a goals worksheet that people on your staff are going to fill out, or people who are your clients or whatnot. You can make a Google form, compile that data easily, and get it into a digestible format that you can analyze and slice and dice. And then that workshop is on March 11th from 10 to 11. And then we have an Excel workshop, back to the basics. So last year I led this workshop. It's the basics on Excel. Yep. Do you have something?
Can I ask a question, Gabrielle?
Sure.
I bet many of us are using calendars for both our work and our personals. Yep. And so we're straddling 2 calendars. And I know for me personally, I'm sending myself calendar invites all the time. Is there a way to share or every time I make an appointment at work that it finds its way over to my personal calendar? Or is that something that doesn't happen? Is there a trick for that?
Because you actually use 2 separate calendars?
Yeah, I've got my Hotmail calendar and I've got my work calendar, and never the twain shall meet. But I'd like them to talk to each other.
Sure. My initial answer, without looking at if Hotmail has any kind of integration with Outlook, is when you send the meeting to the 5 people, just send the meeting to your personal email too.
That's what I'm doing. Okay. Well, then that's the answer.
Yeah, that's my initial thought.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah, and then Sally says she's sending me a direct message, but this applies to everyone. Those both can show up on your phone, Kathy, your Hotmail calendar and your Outlook calendar. And then when you have them both viewable on your phone, they actually overlap each other. So you can see if they're conflicting at all.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Okay, last 3 minutes. So you can take a picture here. You can grab my information from the chat. But what other questions do you have? And always reach out to me. So I'm on LinkedIn. Obviously, you can schedule that 15-minute consult with me as well. But what other questions do you have? Janice, you're welcome, Janice. Very useful information shared. Yeah, great. What other comments, questions? What you got? Either I blew them away or they all left, Ginger, one of the 2.
No, you blew us away.
Great.
Well, can I say something?
Sure, go for it, Glenn.
You made something that I thought was so hard, so simple for me, and I really appreciate that.
Yay, I love hearing that. I'm so glad. Yeah, and it really is simple, Glenn. It really is. I was a software trainer for a dozen years, and I would go into big companies with big software products and have them see that big software product, little by little, can add value to their life. And if they use it right, it really will make their lives easier. So if I can have you get that here, I am complete. So good. Maricela, yes, you'll put it all into practice. Are written calendars helpful? Or all calendars need to be on computers? Yeah, Aaron, it really is. It's up to you. The best calendar is the one you're going to use, period. If it's a paper calendar and you're going to use it and your life is going to be in no stress because you use that paper calendar, go for it. And if using an electronic one is good for you, then go for it. There is no right calendar to use. It's having the right attitude about it. It's having the right perspective about it. And it's having it work for you. If you can walk away with that, you're golden. Anything else? We are at 10:59 and we like to end on time. However, I will stay on afterwards if you have questions. So anything else? Let me put it all back here. There you are.
Let me just jump in real quick and just say, I want to thank you, Gabrielle, for doing this. And I want to tell y'all, she has done this just for free. We ask all of our workshop leaders to always do things for free with nothing in return. But it's on me to say, if you want to hire her, I'm sure she's willing to be paid for anything you want to hire her to do for your business, for your company, for your office, for your nonprofit. She's done this for free, but she can make a huge difference for your entire company or your nonprofit. So connect with her, take advantage of that 15-minute consultation call that she's offering. She's helped a lot of our nonprofits. She's helped a lot of our businesses with the consultation that she can offer. So take her up on that. Check out her website. Check out Reason to Race. If you're a nonprofit and you need a new fundraising platform, it is a phenomenal way, especially during COVID, to raise some money for your organization. So thank y'all for being a part of this. If you want to join her other workshops, check out thegettogether.org on the events page, and you can register for those upcoming too. They are free as well. And hope you all have a wonderful day today. Stay warm. It's going to come a blizzard.
Gabrielle, you'll hear from me in the following week. We are hiring you. As you know, I just haven't signed the contract till we have it. Oh yeah, we've been excited, but now that many of the staff members have had a chance to see how you work, now they get to sit down and choose some of the things that we're going to work with you on.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
Now that we're coming down off the craziness.
I hear you. I'd love to hear it.